This is Greg Pass with the Americans in Wartime Experience. Today's date is August the 30th, 2025, and I'm in Arlington, Virginia, and I have the pleasure to sit down with Ryan Ackerman. Ryan, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here.
What's your full name and where you're from?
Yeah, my full name is Ryan Ackerman. I was born and raised in Huntingburg, Indiana. When I went into the Marine Corps, I got a chance to taste California. I fell in love with it. So I'm still out there right now. I live in San Jose, California.
Any military vets in your family?
My grandfather, he was in the Navy, served in the Navy. He was in Pearl Harbor when they got bombed. He was a tugboat serviceman.
Did you know him?
Yes, I did have the opportunity to spend some time with my grandfather. He retired when I was at a younger age, so he was out hunting and fishing, checking out the world. But he would always make time to connect with us and share stories. I always remember he had a hula girl on his forearm, and he would flex it, and he would get her breasts to move, and he thought it was like the funniest thing. And I would always like to be able to show my family members that when he was around. So, yeah, it was a pleasure to be around him, to know that he was a part of that legacy. But at the same time, I never had the opportunity to sit down to truly understand what that experience was for him. My cousin had a chance to interview him before he passed when we were in 7th grade. And, I hold that close to my heart, just to be able to know that, we had a chance to hear his story within the family.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go a little bit off course from what we normally do, because I think it's important to the position that you're in right now to talk about why we're here in Arlington right now, what your role is in relation to this reunion. So what is your role within the organization, and tell us a little bit about the reunion that we're at right now.
Yeah, so I think it has to go a little further back. So I had the pleasure of serving with the 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. I joined with them in 2002. We conducted operations in Iraq 3 consecutive years in a row. We were a part of the first initial push into Iraq 5 hours before the war, spearheading into Iraq and taking over the oil fields. Later on, ended up pushing up through Baghdad, where we took Baghdad on April 10th. We were in a 7.5 brutal firefight that day. We lost 2 during that tour. The first day we lost Lieutenant Childers, was the first KIA in the war once we invaded into Iraq. And we also lost Gunnery Sergeant Bohr on the Battle of April 10th in Baghdad. Surprisingly, we didn't lose more. We had a lot of casualties, a lot of wounded, but as far as deaths, those were the 2 that we lost, and it was a big loss to us. After that, the next year, we were supposed to go do the 31st MEU. I ended up going over to Okinawa to do advance party to get our Zodiacs and get the armory and everything set up. And we found out that we were actually just going to be coming over to Okinawa to do a short workup. So we did a short workup there, drank a lot of booze, got in a lot of fights, knowing where we were going to go, just trying to prepare ourselves for that at the same time, scared, right? Knowing what we were going to go back into. So we went over to Fallujah, right outside of Fallujah. We were stationed there. We relieved the 82nd Airborne, and it was like foreign policy type stuff. We grew mustaches. We were going around shaking hands. Felt a little weird from what we experienced the first go around. And the Blackwater contractors were killed and used as an example and hung on the streets of the bridge. And we were given the green light to be the first into Fallujah. So on what was it? I believe it was April 4th. We ended up pushing into Fallujah, and we pushed hard. We pushed real hard. We hit instant contact, and we just pushed through that city, and we were securing it so damn fast that it was hard for people to keep up. We ended up getting in, and within a couple of weeks, they pulled it and called ceasefire, and it was a big pill for us to swallow. We felt that our fight was taken from us. We were gaining so much ground. We had so many casualties. We had so many losses. We've seen so much. We've seen, the advancement we were able to make, and it motivated us to continue on, and how everybody was working together. All the allied forces were coming together. It didn't matter what the hell you were doing. Everybody was coming together to make that end goal. And we got pulled out of there, and we went around and did more like security missions and stuff, going out and looking for caches and doing, patrols within the areas to try to do some recon. Found a lot of caches, a lot of weapons caches. Found a lot of people smuggling in bombs and ammo, weapons, people. It was nonstop. And then we ended up going back home. A lot of us that served those 2 tours, we ended up fapping out to go do a more easier kind of laid back job that allows you to kind of process out. I went to a fairly easy job at indoor air simulation, weapons training called the ISMET at the time. And, the job was easy. You would schedule appointments, people would come in, they would be able to do their training, and then, you had the rest of the day. So it was a big change for me. I really enjoyed it. Got to go out and play golf like damn near every day. I got to hang out with my friends. It felt like a normal person. And then got a call back from my sergeant major that told me we didn't end up getting a drop in new Marines, so that they needed to pull us back. So we had enough people to deploy for that need. So I joined back with Alpha Company, and at the time, Captain Thompson and First Sergeant Offutt were the command there, and joined in with them, joined back with my platoon, 3rd Platoon, got myself into a new squad, got that team worked up, and we went back over. Like what I like to call it was the Hornet's Nest. Ramadi was a different ball game. Every one of them was a different ball game. And ended up going over there, served 120 days over there. We like to call ourselves 120-day Marines. Serve our 120 days and come home. But there are a few of us that didn't get an opportunity to do that. Some of those guys that went over there with us served their 3rd and last tour. That was a very, very sad moment, knowing that, and to finish that 120 days knowing that your boys are still there, and now it's your time to go home and just process yourself into the normal world. It was extremely, extremely hard, but you had no choice but to do it, right? You're supposed to be the giant. You're supposed to be, the mentor. Going from there, getting out of the Marine Corps, felt like I lost my sense of purpose. And I went where I thought the world wanted me to go. I went towards making the money, providing for my family. I felt good. The wife was able to, keep her job, make her money, and I was able to cover all the bills, and we were fed and happy and got to do cool stuff. Like, it felt like it was the right thing. And I just realized so much was missing, and I stayed away from it. So, really focused in the career. I got into the automotive industry. I worked for Toyota and General Motors there in NUMMI in Fremont, California. Was there for roughly about 4.5 years. And then the economy just had a big boom, dropped. A lot of people went bankrupt. General Motors went bankrupt. The joint venture ended up splitting up. So I was about to be out of a job. I didn't know what to do. And right away I started looking into contracting. With everything that's going on, it made me realize it's time for me to kind of restructure my life and try to find happiness. So I ended up splitting ties with my wife at the time. It was a cordial decision. We felt confident with it and okay, and we were able to keep on a friendship and move through life at the point. And it wasn't a bad transition. I went out and had this time to kind of figure myself out, but really what I did is I just ran from all my problems, and I got into partying and drinking and drugs and everything else, to the point to where you get even more lost, and Then I ended up getting in another relationship. I had opportunities to go do some contracting work overseas, and I was looking at that as an escape. But at the same time, I was scared, knowing that if I go back into it, will this really be my last? Am I choosing straws here? So I ended up staying to, let that go. I took an interview down in Arlington, Texas, there at the General Motors plant. Got hired there, went down there for a year, decided to get married. Went down there, just hated it. My wife at the time didn't like Texas, and I felt like the thing was to get out of there, right? She doesn't want to be there. I loved it. Started looking into jobs, like what am I going to do? I don't want to be in the automotive industry. I've been there too long. Like wanted to do something else. Was looking into like XE, looking into some private security companies just to kind of see what I can do locally. Came across the business that provides an executive personal protection to high-profile clients, and I applied to them, and I got hit up right away. And I was like, "Oh, this seems pretty cool. Like, let me look into this before I go jump and go overseas, just to be able to get my wife at the time back to where she wanted to be." So I followed the process. It was quite a lengthy process. Did the hiring, did a lie detector, went through a number of scenarios, got selected, went in for the academy, made it through the academy. We learned some of the clients and stuff that they protect, and we got to pick like kind of the area of the country, even outside the country, that we would be interested in going. And since we were from the Bay Area, she wanted to go back to the Bay Area. I was like, let's see who's available in the Bay Area. So, I think it's been long enough that I can see who these people are, but I was able to work with a number of guys where we provided a service for Larry Ellison. I worked there for roughly a year and worked with such a great group of guys, people that had military background or at least an understanding around it, had something to bring to the table and serve and protect. And I felt like I was a part of something again. It was cool. But it was ran by people that I felt wasn't really looking out for the people. And it almost seemed like it was more about the money. So I wanted to get out of it. I was looking at other opportunities, and then the automotive industry started coming back. So at the time, Tesla was kicking up there in Fremont. They're getting ready to, hopefully launch their Model S. Before that, they were doing the Roadster there in Deer Creek, and I was aware of the vehicle. I had some buddies that worked there, and that's how I kind of got brought into it. They're like, "Man, we need you. Could you come out, check it out? Like, we need people like you to be able to bring your knowledge and help, build this out." And me, I was kind of skeptical about it, but I was like, I'll set up an interview. I'll go in, I'll check it out. So I went in for an interview. They offered me a position right away, and I walked away from it. Tried to see what else was out there. And then they ended up calling me back 2 weeks later and provided me another offer. And I was like, you know what? This is a sign. I'm just going to go for it. So I joined Tesla. We're still working on beta. And I went in working for quality control. These cars were a mess. Big challenge here, but the people that were around it, like I knew we could do it. The folks that literally would like put anything and everything into it to see this be a success. It felt like family. So I was really happy with it. Obviously, I knew cars to a certain point, but like electric cars, I had no clue. And it was interesting. And had the opportunity to start off at the end of the line, understand that process. And, that's checking, functions, exterior, interior, making sure all the options work as designed. Same time, it goes through a drive test out on the test track. It goes through a water test to look for any leaks, and then you do a number of visual inspections with it. And year after year, it just kept growing and growing and growing, and I just continued building a team. When we became successful, and I made my way up to the quality control manager. We ended up launching the Model S. We're successful with that, and then we turned on AP and EU And we decided we wanted to do a semi-knockdown plant in Tilburg, Netherlands. So we wanted to somewhat cookie cut what we already had created there in Fremont to where we can build cars up halfway and ship them to be able to save for the tariffs. And when you're able to do that, you can build them up there, you're providing jobs for that local area, and you're obviously building the business. So it was like super cool to go out there and be a part of that. I got to meet the team, build that piece out. We got to create the design for the plant, the flow of everything. I got to do the end of the line. First indoor test track that I'm ever aware of exists there. Every car is tested inside. It's in the Netherlands. High speed, you got your embankments, you got your parking brake test, you got your shake, rattle, and row. It's a pretty cool thing to see. You could actually go there and walk through. But anyways, I did that, launch the Model X, and just, after my 4.5 years, just saw the complications with the company and kind of how the focus has changed from the people to making the money. So, I looked on another opportunity to move out, and I had a chance to go work for Faraday Future in Las Vegas, where they were going to open up their manufacturing plant out there. I got hired to be the quality manager out there, set up operations. So we moved out to Las Vegas, got set up, worked with this very small, talented team out there on putting all that planning together. And they had a number of financial concerns at the point in time, and a lot of changes were being made that kind of spooked me. So, right away I started looking for other opportunities. And, as I started seeing the business shift, I shifted focus and jumped to another startup, which was Change Energy. They're last mile electric vehicles for last mile delivery. So like FedEx vehicles. We were working with companies like FedEx and trying to provide them with a new fleet and to be able to, improve the carbon footprint, right? So we did that. I was there for roughly 3.5 years. They ran into some financial issues, and then I jumped from them. I decided to, really focus on, like, why am I putting so much effort into trying to make everybody else successful? Like, what's important to me? And during this time, I went through a very nasty divorce. And I started talking to the love of my life, the one that has truly saved me. And it just started noticing more and more of myself. And out of the blue, one day I had a phone call and it said Phil Tregula on it. And I was just like, no way. So I answered it. And I was like, hello? I was like, sir? And he's like, Marine, how are you doing? And I was just blown away. I was like, good, sir. Like, how are you? It's been forever since we talked. And he's like, good, Marine. He's like, I'm glad I got a hold of you. He's like, I just reminisce from time to time. And he goes, I was thinking about you, and I remember like what we did in Fallujah. And he's like, I'm just so grateful that we got to experience that together, because he's like, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for what we did together and what you did. And he goes, I just want to personally thank you. He's a retired colonel. He was my platoon commander in Fallujah. When we went into Fallujah, he's a recon bubba, so he has to be everywhere where the fire's at. Anywhere where we took fire, he had to be there. He had to know what his guys were doing, and he was going to make sure he gave them everything they needed. So we created a small security team, and I ran that. We had Corbett, Tate, Q, Dennis in that group, and we literally ran all over that city. If someone got in contact, we would run over there and help them, and like we would get ambushed on the way there by other fire, and it's like it didn't matter. We had to go take care of our boys, and we just pushed, and when we ended up going to go clear a mosque after we dropped, we called it F-16 to come in and drop a 500-pound bomb on a mosque as they were using it as a forward observer, dropping fire on us. one of the fire actually landed about 25 feet away from me, and I took shrapnel on my leg from it. But anyways, we went and we cleared it, and we found tons of weapons, tons of drugs, tons of casings, computer stuff, all kinds of stuff within the mosque, and we confiscated it, and we're coming back, and we got ambushed. Right away, I see a couple guys get hit, and then I run over to Captain Tregill at the time, and I see him on the radio calling it in, and I'm looking around, and all of a sudden I just see shots coming up, and they're like going up towards him. So I grab him, I throw him behind the wall, and I was like, "Sir, no, we got to go inside. We got to go inside. We got to get inside this gate." So we ended up busting through, getting inside that gate. And when we got in there, I sent Dre and Wofford up to the roof to go clear the roof while I stayed down there with the CO while he called in backup. We were getting gun trucks to come in to help us. And we got a sit rep, and we were regrouping. I was calling Wofford to come down. I wasn't getting a response. So I kept calling, yelling, like, let's go. Wasn't getting anything. So I go up there, and Dre was sitting on the ground, and he had Wofford on him, and Wofford was gone. I called it in right away, told the guys, we came up, we got him down. We regrouped, we come up with a plan. We were taking heavy fire at the time. So we called the gun trucks to come in, but they were working on another problem down the road, and we had to hurry up and get across a crazy danger area. It was like 4 lanes. You're just in the open. So we were hoping a gun truck could come in and start laying down fire so then we can run across there with Blake. And I remember I grabbed his left leg, and all of us grabbed a portion of him. We ran across that. We just took off. We just ran off, and we had guys covering us where we were going. And I just remember just machine gun fire just bouncing off the black top. And I mean, just shit going everywhere. But like in the moment, like I didn't even care. It was like, you just took my brother. It was just like, and then you see all the guys and everybody standing by to like help, and people are all messed up, and they got their bandages on and shit, and they're like still in the fight. And it was a powerful thing. But like that was a wild time, especially in such a short period of time. And then they pulled the plug on us, and it was like we had so much unfinished business. And the fact that we waited until that fall to go back in there, that's absolute bullshit.
How old were you?
I was 21, just turned 21. Mm-hmm. I was in 21 when I was in Okinawa. Mm-hmm.
So, 21's not old. What's it like to be a 21-year-old, pretty much kid, in an engagement like that?
I think it would be like anything else. Like, what do? You're faced with it. The good thing is like I've already seen enough to know how it could be. I mean, I saw our lieutenant get killed. I had to pull those guys that killed him out of the vehicle to make sure they were dead.
That was during
the invasion. He was the first one. Within hours of the war, that was the first thing that I dealt with. I saw those guys fucking coming. I seen it all happen. Let's
back up. I noticed on your bio form an interesting date that you went through boot camp. So something significant happened when you were in boot camp. How did you find out about 9/11?
Yeah, so I was in boot camp. I want to say it was like Labor Day weekend. It was almost like Labor Day when I got there, and then you go through process. And we already finished like the first wake up when you come into the Marine Corps, like, holy shit, where am I at? Like, what did I get myself into? And we started getting in kind of a cadence. And I remember we went out, we did PT early that morning, we did chow and all that. And then we came back and we were getting ready for something, and for whatever reason, like, it was being delayed, and that wasn't normal. And I was like, we all kind of noticed it, but at the same time, we're like, hell yeah, we get a little extra free time. Shit, we're gonna take it. And I remember our heavy coming out, and then he was just like, he's like, real quick, he's like, I want to know, who do we have here that has family in New York, or any family that works in the city near the Trade Center? And a couple guys raised their hand. He's like, come with me. And he pulled them into the duty hut and talked to them. And then out of nowhere, my senior comes out, and he's just like, series commander's going to be coming by. He's like, I want everybody to group up down there at the end of the quarterdeck. He goes, he's going to come out and talk to everybody. So we're like, what the hell is going on? So we go down there, and he comes around there, and he tells us exactly what's going on and why those people are in there. And we're all like, what the hell? Are you shitting me? As soon as he leaves, the drill instructors come out, and they're like, where are our infantry guys? Like, I think there was maybe like 5 of us that raised their hands. And he looks at us, and he's just like, fuckers, we're going to war. And he's like, all you motherfuckers are going to go to war, and we're going to kill these fuckers. And I was just like, this is real. I mean, that was the whole reason why I wanted to join in the first place. Like, I wanted to go recon. I wanted to push my limits. I wanted to actually be able to experience combat if there would ever be that opportunity. Like, I felt that. And, you know, it's like, it's a trip.
Did you find that after 9/11 you had a little bit different lens? In other words, you know, before they tell you that there was an attack,
No.
you know, you have this training. Did you have a different sense of different motivation or anything after?
You know what? I never thought about that, but it's weird because I feel like I may be different, because it's like, I don't feel like it was motivating or anything. I felt like the lights were turned on, and it was just a matter of time, and something was going to happen. And it's just like, dude, don't be surprised. Like, be ready, stay present, be aware, be ready to shift. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I was just like really just cautious of everything, and just kind of just flow. And yeah.
The training that you go through in the Marine Corps is pretty intense. When you first got to Baghdad, mm-hmm. During that initial push, did you feel that you were as prepared as you would be and your fellow Marines?
It's funny. It's funny you say that, because when I talk to the guys from Alpha Company, Captain Sokol always comes up. And we called him Captain America. 6 foot, probably 5'6", Naval Academy graduate. I believe he's a brigadier general. And apologize if I don't say the proper ranking, but the toughest guy I've ever known in my life, like absolute stone. Could tell you could probably ask anybody from Alpha, and like, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but like, we did not like that man. It felt like he was literally trying to break us. And once he broke us, we were broke dick. And he didn't care. He was like, go fix your ass if you want to be a part of the team. And it was weird, because we didn't just have him, but we also had all of our staff NCOs that came from the drill field. So we had the best of the best literally coming to be our platoon sergeants, people that have combat experience. And then we were getting dropped officers that are like, I know were selected to come to us because these are the best of the best. And it's like, all we did is push. And in the moment, like, we couldn't stand it. We were just like, we felt like absolute prisoners. You know what I mean? And we literally would go on black flag hikes, and we would have like 13 heat casualties. We would have fire trucks and blankets of tarps laid out with ice waiting to throw people on it, because all we did is push each other. We do MOP level 4 We do gas mask runs. We do long gas mask beach runs, boots and utes with flax and plates. And it's like in the moment you don't understand, but then you do shit that we did in Baghdad and it all makes sense. Every damn thing that you went through, that you bitched about, that you pled for, that you cried about, I don't care. Like, you realize right then and there. And there's a number of photos and you can see it in people's faces. It's like, holy shit, that's why. So as much as we were cussing him in the moment, that man, that warrior, that leader created the baddest warriors that I've ever known to exist. The shit that I saw, I know a lot of amazing stuff has been done. It will continue to be done, but honestly, from experience, like, got too much respect for it.
So you have 3 deployments, combat deployment, legit combat deployments. When you think of your time in Iraq, is there one specific incident that stands out in your mind?
Obviously, I would have to go back to the first. The first is everything. I mean, it was just like, oh, this is real. You know, yeah, I got to see a few people get shot. Got a few people get wounded. A few of our guys get wounded. If it be a toe getting blown off or, you know, taking shrapnel from something. But like, to actually witness a great leader, not only just an officer, but a Mustang, someone who's prior enlisted that has some true knowledge of what it's like to grow from absolutely recruit on up and then go out and earn the title to be an officer and to go into an infantry unit and to lead Marines, like, to go on the first day, like, it was a gut punch. And I'll never forget how it happened either. Those guys got lit up with a 50 cal. Every one of those guys got lit up with a 50 cal. And it was the only gun that we had available right then and there, and it was used.
Was this the incident with the truck with the white flag?
I got photos to share too.
When you had that incident, it was obviously really quick. Then you rolled into Baghdad.
Yeah.
What was your first impression when you saw the city perimeter?
So what was weird about it is, like, we ended up meeting up and it was kind of relaxed there for a little bit. We got to actually go out and talk to some of the locals. They made us some bread and we would eat some of their food and talk with them, bum cigarettes from them, lots of cigarettes.
Gold Coast?
What's that?
Were they Gold Coast cigarettes?
No, they were the Summers. The Summers, or they're like the blue ones, the blue package ones. But anyways, it was kind of odd because we got a combat replacement for Lieutenant Childers, and excuse me, it's Lieutenant Terrell joined up with us right out of school, I believe, and literally got dropped into, like, the day before we ended up going out and taking the city of Baghdad. Like, welcome to 1-5, right? We didn't just get him dropped into us, but we linked up with Special Forces and a number of other groups. And I knew when guys are showing up in Jeeps and they're not wearing shirts, they got long beards and they're smoking cigarettes and got weapon systems that, honestly, I was just like, this is some Rambo shit. Like, this is going to be cool. We're about to be a part of something cool. And literally that evening we took off. Somebody tried to get a little funky with us and they got lit up. And it's a well-known picture that you'll see a car completely on fire and then you'll see one operator walking with his M4 and then you can see a shadow. And that was the first contact we took, and we knew right then and there, like, we weren't messing around. Like, everything that comes, there is no question, it is go. So we rolled into that thing. We were all on tracks, loud as shit. We were just rolling forever. You could hear everything over the radio. Squawk box was, you know, you're hearing all the communication. Pushed through. And then we were told that we're about to jump in there, so get ready. And I remember I stood up out of the the hatch and made sure that I was able to witness it all. And it was dark, had NVGs on, and all you would see are these tall buildings, and it looks like you're getting into a bigger city, and all of a sudden, all you see is tracers going from both sides of the road, explosions, RPGs, and you're just like, holy shit, it's on. So from that point, we pushed through. We ended up pushing through too far and realized that we missed our point. So we had to turn around and go back through the gauntlet. After being shot at, we turned around and we went back through it again. Once we got back on track, we were ordered to go and take the palace that was there. So we ended up securing that. The unit that was there before us already had it pretty much locked down. So we just took over, I believe, Bravo and Charlie. Weapons helped with that. And then Alpha Company was tasked to go out to the mosque in the Baghdad Square and look for Saddam. So at that point, when we pulled into Saddam's palace, we thought it was done. And then we were told we were going back out and that Gunny was killed. So Gunny War was in a soft skin Humvee. Going into it, I've heard many stories, and it's not surprising that he had the opportunity to stay back, but he would absolutely never do that. So he went in, and yeah, he was taken from us that day. Once we heard about that, like, once again, it was just like radio silent. Like, it was just, you felt it, like the anger. Everybody was just boiling. And then we got told we were going to go to that mosque, and it was just like, okay, it's on. And it was just like, holy shit, we're going back out in that. So we hopped back up. My platoon was 3rd Platoon. We went through Maritime Special Purpose Force. So like close quarters, more close quarters style training. And we were selected to be the initial push into that mosque. So we pulled in there. One of the tracks got hit, and Grizzly, which was Colonel Dunford at the time. You may know who that General Dunford. So he was our colonel, regimental colonel at the time. He came up and provided us with support so then we can get what we needed to get everything that we could get out of that downed vehicle. And we kept pushing through the city to the square, and the whole time just fierce firefighting. More RPG shots than small arms fire. Just imagine that for a minute. I never knew somebody could have so many RPGs. Grenades, machine guns like you wouldn't believe. We ended up pulling into the square. We had people running out, throwing grenades and trying to throw grenades into our track. They were all doped up. I seen people get lit up with like 100+ rounds, still come at you like zombies. And we were told like, hey, we're here. It's go time. And we were taking extreme fire from across the road, and we called A-10 Warthog in and light that up, drop some bombs, got some cool footage of all that. And then we were told it was time to go and push through. So we got our assault team ready. We got our squad lined up, and then we brought out the small rocket, thermal barrack round. We were going to go shoot to go penetrate a hole in the wall and gain access into the building. And we shot it, and it didn't do shit to the wall. And we're just like, what the hell? Like, we're not going to shoot another one. Like, we're going through the door because you got to move. So we went in, we breached the door. We went in and we cleared the room, did all that. Went out. When we went outside that room, there was a RPK on the ground with probably 4 drums of ammo sitting there. There was a guy literally sitting there with a machine gun. If we wouldn't have shot that thermal barrack round, he would have wasted all of our asses. And it's to be able to walk over that piece of shit and to go and meet up with your brothers was such a good feeling. It was such a good feeling. I think we got 12 bath party members from there. We didn't really have much, so we ended up tearing their curtains down and tying everybody up. And we put them in aces and got him back to the palace. I took him over to a center room that was surrounded by water that 3-letter company was working in. Took those guys over there. They were handling their business. It was a cool thing to experience. Ended up deciding that, you know what, like, let's go check out his palace. I don't know how long we're going to be here. The word was we were going to push up in Mosul. So I was like, we all had the ninja. We were puking and shitting all over the place. So we decided to go up in Saddam's bathroom, and I went on his toilet, my buddy went in the sink, and my other buddy went in the tub, and we took a picture. We were going to send it to Maximum Magazine and try to get it published, but I guess they're too weak and didn't have it in them to do it. Later on, we found out that we were going to be bunkered there for 2 weeks, and we were going to wait. There's a possible chance we were going home. So somebody had to go clean up all that mess. But on my way out, there was keys in the door, and I just happened to grab, there's keys in that door I got, and then 2 other sets of keys on my way out. And for whatever reason, I just grabbed them, and I got back and I saw my buddies, and I gave my buddy Carpenter a set of keys, and I gave my buddy Chris a set of keys, and I kept a set of keys. I'm like, who the fuck could say they have keys to Saddam's palace? Like, how cool is that? I still have them. I don't know if Chris still has his, and Carpenter passed years ago. So yeah, I would like to donate those to the Marine Corps Museum just to be able to have that piece there. I think would be really cool for not only for my family, but, you know, for the 1-5 legacy. Pretty cool.
We've been doing interviews for the last 3 days, and it's interesting seeing different perspectives from different Marines. One of the things that I've seen that's consistent with most of the guys I've interviewed so far has been, they're like, hey, the first, second, and third deployments were all different animals. Mm-hmm. Same country, but different animals. Would you agree with that?
Totally, 100%. 100%. And it's like, it's almost like anything else. It's like life in general. You can't go in there with the same expectations, because like anything can change just a little bit. You have to go into it open-minded, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that we would even be naive to think that we can go into Iraq to not think certain portions of Iraq would be different is pretty ignorant, in my opinion. But in the moment, we were ignorant. You know, we only knew certain things, and we kind of think it to be the same. But the great thing about the Marine Corps is, like, your ability to adapt is insane. Like, your sense of awareness and attention to detail, like, it's almost like you walk on the sidewalk and you see it like an inch stepped up and everybody's tripping over it, and you just naturally just work around it. You know what I mean? Every once in a while you'll trip on it, but it's because you're being complacent, you're not paying attention.
If you bumped into some kid that knew you were in the service and said, hey, you know, I'm talking about a young kid, you know, 18-year-old kid, thinking about enlisting in the Marine Corps, what advice would you give them on how to be successful in the Marine Corps, especially during a combat situation?
I think to stay away from the whole combat thing, because I think that focus on the military. The military has so much to offer. Like, what is it that they want to get out of the military? Why are they interested in the military? Right? Because the thing is I think that's the problem, is that everybody thinks that, like, military, if there's a conflict, I'm going to war. I don't want to go to war. You don't have to go to war. You know how many people I met that would never even touch foot on sand? You know what I mean? And it's like, it's on what you want. I signed up for infantry, so obviously my ass is going. I just happened to be, you know, the first that had that opportunity to do that, you know, which is such an honor to me. So although I went through all that nasty shit, it made me who I am today.
That was going to be my next question. How do you think that your experience in the Marine Corps has shaped you into the man that you are today?
So much. And what's odd is, like, I didn't recognize it until, you know, I met my wife, and she was able to, you know, see the good qualities about myself, because I was always so focused on what other people were thinking. And when she was able to genuinely allow for me to see through different lenses, you know, my strengths, it only made sense that a lot of things surfaced, you know, at that point in time in my life. And it's like, you don't think of it, you know, because you almost feel that, you know, that was just something you had to go through. You know what I mean? And it should just be forgotten about. But it's like, that's the problem, you know, that you can't change yourself like that. You're wired. You got to find a way to, you know, accept and to honor those good skills, and to provide, you know, those good skills to other people. Provide acts of good kindness to folks. You know what I mean? Share those good qualities. You know, you don't have a whole lot of them. It's fine. Just share what you can, you know, and then be open-minded to understand how to make more.
Obviously, we're videotaping this right now, and you're going to receive a copy of the video in a couple of weeks. You're also going to receive information on how you can submit your story to the Library of Congress right across the Potomac River here for the Veterans History Project. Theoretically, as long as we have a functioning government, that video will be there for hundreds of years. If one of your great-great-great-great-great-grandkids stumbled upon that video many years after you're gone, what would you want them to know about your service to your country?
That I was beyond honored, not only to serve our country, but to serve it with the highly decorated 1st Battalion, 5th Marines. Because my blood flows different, and anybody that serves with 115 could tell you that. It's a different bond of warriors, and need for everybody to understand that how important it is to allow yourself to do hard things, to lean in and trust a process, and to know that the difficulty, you know, fighting and pushing through the difficulty will always allow you to overachieve your challenges and to, you know, reach those goals. You know, I mean, honestly, it's pushed it out for so many years, the military. You know, felt like I had to forget about it, but so honored. Everybody tells me thank you for your service. I'm like, it was my pleasure. Honestly, like, I still serve, and that's why I do it with association and get involved. That's why I connect with wonderful organizations, you know, with Robert Irvine Foundation. Like, he's a blessing in disguise. You know, the things that he does, he's a miracle worker. You know, and I want to be around people like that. I want to help people. I want it to be full circle. I don't want any handouts. I don't want to be recognized for anything. I just want to be able to do our best and get people to do their best and lean in, make our veteran community and our military community comfortable and safe.
You're in a leadership position right now with the 1-5 Association. We're here in Arlington, Virginia for your reunion. Why do you think it's important for you guys to gather, especially during the 20th anniversary, for the mental health and well-being of your fellow Marines? Why do you think that's important?
It comes down to suicide. Let's start there. You know, the worst of the worst. You always have to stop the bleeding, and I think it all comes down to connection. And these types of things allow us to naturally connect and be reminded of the bond that we have, right? Those forged by fires, not fires. And it confirms, you know, how this is a secure family. It wants the best for everybody. And, you know, if there are things on people's minds or the challenges, they're more likely going to open up during events like this than reach out and call you on the phone. I've told many of the guys since I've been here the last couple of days, like, you know why it was so easy when we were in? Because we were forced to spend those time with those people. So you naturally share everything with them. And they're people that you would never talk to in a normal setting. But you are forced to be in a world with them, and you adapt. And it's a special thing. And when you get out of the military, you think you're gonna go out of your way to go pick up a phone, to go call your buddy to tell you that you did something wrong, or you're thinking about this or that. It's not an easy thing. It never will be, right? So it's like you have to find ways on how you can allow people to feel comfortable And this is exactly what it does. But it doesn't do it for the veterans. It does it for the family members. So the family members see things and they wonder, why does my dad or my husband act a certain way? You know, the Gold Star families, the families of the fallen, we continue to lose brothers. If it be health, accident, suicide, we continue to do it. And it's going to happen. We're just getting older. But the thing is like, we have a powerful thing. Why walk away from it? And that's what the message is with this is, we didn't do it just 1 year reunion. We didn't do it just a 2 year, in a row reunion. We did a 3 year in a row, 20-year reunion to be able to honor what we did those 3 consecutive years in Iraq.
Well, thank you for inviting us here to help capture not just the unit history, but also the personal histories. Most importantly, though, thank you for your service. It's fantastic meeting you, Ryan.
Absolutely.
Great job.
Thank you. I appreciate you.